Hi, welcome back or welcome to the channel. Today is going to be a simple tutorial on how to apply the glow effect to bring that extra oomph to your thumbnails. Because as everyone will tell you on YouTube, thumbnails very important. So yeah, let's start from scratch. I'm doing it in Photoshop, but in theory, you should be able to follow along no matter what, thing you're using. If you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe. And yeah, without further ado, let's start. I like doing 1920 by 1080p. I just like doing all my stuff in that format. And I'm going to basically cut through all the small stuff like finding images and whatnot. I'm just going to import images I have and then we will go from there. Okay, now we got the image we want, okay? We are using Philip J. Fry from Futurama, and we're going to put some text here in a bit, but we aren't going to worry about that too much right now. First, we are going to simply apply our simple glow effect. Like I said, we'll apply it to this first, and then we will go on to text in a little bit, because that's an interesting way to apply it to text. Okay, so for this effect, you want to go to the brush tool. If you don't have the brush tool available, right click. There will be pen tool, brush tool. Some of you guys might have the pen tool like that, but it's all under the same category. And as for color, what you want to do is select, go a little lighter than you normally would. Like, we'll choose that. We used the eyedrop to sample his hair and just made it lighter. That's what we did. What we will do, however, before we begin, and this is very important, almost forgot to mention it, make a new layer, a blank layer, on top of this layer. Let's see, we're going to make the brush a little bit bigger, but make it whatever size you want. And then draw around what you want the glow to be on exactly. Now, you can make the brush smaller. It doesn't have to be perfect, don't worry. Do not worry about that at all. But if you're a perfectionist, you may spend quite a bit of time on this. For me, it really depends on what mood I'm in, how quote unquote perfect I want to get. But I think for these purposes, this will kind of do. And then after you get the way you want, which it took me a while, you want to go here where it said normal, play around with these till you find the exact one you want. Now, a lot of people choose screen. That is the one just a lot of people use. But I say it just depends. Sometimes I even go with something as simple as overlay. But, there's, like I said, different things to play around with. Now we are going to go with screen for the purposes of this. And if you think it's like too much, you can always play around with the opacity a bit. If you think, oh, I think I want it to be drawn in a little bit more, you can always just remember, you made this its own layer, so technically you can play around with it till you find exactly how you want. We can move this in a little bit, play around with stuff till it's just perfect. Say we want to move this in a little bit. You know, say we just want to have a bit of fun. Originally it was here. We chose to move it into here. I think that already looks better. And that's just simply an option. And of course, if it's not enough detail for you, now let's move on to the text. For text, we are going to be using this text because it's actually basically more or less our channel text at this point. When I hit Command J or Control J if you're on a PC to duplicate the layer, and then we are going to do Effect, and then drag this down a bit here, and then I'm going to make it a bit bigger because that will make it a bit easier for us. But we are going to do this simply by selecting both of these and putting them in their own group, okay? That's like the easiest, simplest way to do it, because then it will just let us manipulate the whole group, you know. And then we will make this a bit bigger, which actually, fun fact, will make it a bit easier for us to do the glow effect. We are then going to proceed by selecting both of these and then converting them to a single smart object. And after you've converted them all to a smart object, what we're going to do is go to Filter, and then we are going to go to Blur, Gaussian Blur, okay? Gaussian Blur for that one item, but we are going to have to change it, okay? Change it to 0.5, okay? 0.5, yep. There we go. Hit OK. It's a barely noticeable 0.5, okay? And now we are going to hold Control, hit Control J or Command J and duplicate this layer about 5 times. Okay. So yeah, there we go. And then double click each one of these, changing them a little bit more. Okay, just, and then we will, you know, double click this, change it to 5. Okay. Double click this, change it to 7. Double click this, change it to 9. Now you can change it to whatever you want. I'm just doing it this way for a reason. And then this, we will actually change it quite a bit more. Okay. But not too much. I mean, because we want the glow effect, but we don't want, yeah. Okay, so there's good. There's good. I'm sure you're beginning to see something going on right now. So that is actually very good. That is what we want. In fact, we could just call it a day here if you wanted to. We could just, you know, apply a certain effect. Since it is a simple tutorial, I think I am going to call it a day here, but there is something extra you can do, okay? Which is gradient. You can pick different gradient colors, whatever you think flows best. In this particular situation, well, normally I would choose the basic gradient, but it matches too much with my current background, so, you know, let's make a new gradient. We can do that. Let's change the color a bit to a more vibrant color. Blue. Let's change it to a bluish type color for the gradient there. We also want this to be a, no, we could keep that the way we want it. This we, okay, this we might want to be a little bit blue as well. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe we went a little too overboard there. But yeah, that's just how the effect works. Once we get the way we want, we go there. We can apply an inner glow. We can apply an outer glow if we want. I think that outer glow looks pretty nice, but we could tone it in a little bit there. And then we have our pretty much glow effect. Now I know what you're thinking. What do these bottoms layers do? Well, they are the ones that basically make it more blurry to give the actual glow effect. Now, there are some situations where you'd want it to be more bold on the outside. So you'd do a stroke effect, but you would change the stroke to outside. But we don't want that because it kind of messes with our flow. So we don't want the glow effect, but we will add a little bit of shadow effect. And if you want to do an icing on the cake situation, okay? This is just icing on the cake. You do not have to do this by any means. But if you want to do an icing on the cake situation, you can always just, well, we're going to make this a bit bigger so we can, draw on it effectively. So for the icing on the cake situation, we definitely want this to have, let's say about the same glow as this. Maybe a little bit brighter, but we'll deal with that in the future. Actually, let's make it a little brighter now. Okay, there we go. And then, we would just do a similar thing to what we did with the other one. Although this time we won't be going over all of it. We want the fact to look as if it's coming from him, okay? Like he's making the rest of it glow. So all we need to do is really wrap the E in it. Not even wrap all of the E, just wrap up to this part of the E. And then wrap the G in it as well. So we will go ahead and wrap the G in it. And then after we wrap the G, then we will play around with our thing till we get exactly how we want it once again. So we will proceed to do with the screen effect. Change the opacity to what we want. Go a little bit here, see if we got exactly the effect we want. And from my point of view, we did. Now, if you aren't happy with this, you can always play around with the Gaussian blur a little bit, and just make the effect a little less, a little more, however you want. So we are going to actually scale it back to 10. Okay, that's what we're going to do, because we want people to be able to see it big, bold, full of life. And then just for that final touch. I know I keep saying final touch quite a bit, but I'm a perfectionist sometimes. Okay, so for that final thing, we will go back to our lowest layer, and then we will apply a simple drop shadow, okay? And then we will go to our glow layer, as you can call it if you want. And we can actually apply a simple, Gaussian blur to it if you want to give it a bit more oomph, if you will, so it matches everything else. And yeah, in a nutshell, that is the glow effect. Now, I don't know how well you want it on font or not, because I'll be honest, the font, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. The font is a special situation, but the glow effect around the, person there, I think that's pretty legit. So, yeah, let me know, comment section below if this helped you out in some way, shape, or form. Now, this would actually help a lot more in a darker background than the background I have, but yeah, it's what it is. And yeah, hopefully you guys found it helpful. I will catch you guys in the future. Later.